Hi everybody, welcome back for part 2 of what perks are best for your legend in Apex Legends Mobile. This is pretty exciting because now, starting in Season 3, perks are available in Ranked. So it's a pretty big deal what perks you're going to use, and so you want to make sure that you know exactly which ones are best for your legend and your playstyle. We're going to start off today with Ashe, the brand new legend to Apex Mobile in Season 3, and her perks are pretty awesome. So to start out, we're of course going to be using the finisher adds 100 points to your Evo shield. And then after that, let's look at the blue perks. So this one, Spoils of War. Deathbox icons appear on the map and as the color of the highest tier loot inside. Now, the wording on this makes it seem like the Deathbox icons only appear on the map if you have this perk. That's not true. The thing that it should say is the Deathbox icons on the map appear as the color of the highest tier loot inside, which is sort of useful if you're trying to hunt loot around the map, but I don't know, just be Loba if you're trying to do that. The second one, the first time an enemy uses a scan of Deathbox, their location will be pinged. That can be useful, you know, if someone's been where you've been before. It's decent. And then the third one, after 3 Deathbox extractions, your dad and knife reveals more information. After 6, periodically see the killer's team on your map. Now, I really don't like it when Apex is super vague and says something like more information, because what does that mean? Well, I know what that means. What that means is starting on your 4th extraction, when it pings the enemies, it will also say what legends they are. There will be a little, some icons that pop up and say what legends are in that squad. So that's cool. And then after 6, what will happen is it will ping where they are, and then a few seconds later it will ping again, and then a few seconds later it will ping again, and it does that like 4 or 5 times. It's pretty cool. It's hard, obviously. You're probably not going to be able to get 6 extractions in the early game. That'll be something that happens later on, but it's better than nothing. And honestly, that's kind of how I feel about these 3 blue perks. They're better than nothing. And this one, the last one, I think is the best of those 3. Now for the red perks, we have Enduring Trap to start. The Arc Snare persists after being thrown, but can be destroyed. Next, you can adjust the thrown trajectory of the arc star, but reduce its speed. And third, Phase Breach can be reactivated within 7 seconds of its first use, but the ability's distance is halved. So this first one is fine. However, the arc snare has this super annoying sound, and when it's on the ground, it's extremely visible. And it's not very often that you're going to trap an enemy inside of it like you would catch an enemy off guard with a caustic trap. And so this one's decent, but I don't love it. The second one, I wouldn't use this because just being able to throw the arc snare straight is good enough in my opinion, and I want it to go fast, because if I'm trying to intercept an enemy's line of running, then I want it to get there quickly and not be very delayed. And so I don't think this is a very good perk. Lastly, this is the one that I've been using, is that you can activate the Phase Breach twice in a row super quickly. You have to do it within 7 seconds of the first use. And now it does say that the ability's distance is halved, which makes sense, because if you're doing it twice, you shouldn't be able to do twice the distance. But I still really like it because it allows you to, instead of just going one direction really long, you can go one direction half the way and then change directions a little bit. I've used it to go on top of a building and then over down to the other side really quick. You can cut around corners. I think this is definitely the best. It helps to be aggressive with getting attacking angles. It helps with running away or to make good rotation spots for your team. I think this is by far the best perk. And honestly, this is one of the only legends where both of their best perks are the tier 3 ones. Next, we'll talk about Crypto. I like Crypto's perks. I think that they're pretty decent. We're going to obviously be having the 100 points on the Evo shield for purple. And then with the red perks, they are your ultimate damages health, but can't kill an enemy. And then your drone can retrieve items, and your drone can launch an EMP bomb that slows and deals damage. So here's my opinion with Crypto. I think that being able to control the drone in that mode is useful, but it shouldn't be used for a very long time. Because if you have skilled opponents, they're going to be able to shoot the drone, and then you're not in a very good spot after that. So I think that the drone is good for being used for a short amount of time. And that means you're probably not going to be sticking around to be launching EMP bombs. They move really slowly and don't really do a lot. You should just be in there firing your gun. That would be a lot more useful for your team. So I don't really like this tier 3 perk. The second one, your drone can retrieve items. I don't know. The drone can get your teammates banners, which is super useful, but being able to get items, like, just go there yourself. It's not that great. I don't really like this one. I honestly think that this is the best. Your ultimate can deal damage instead of just 50 shield damage, because the ultimate normally only does 50 shield damage. And so I think that this is definitely the best because it will always deal about 50 damage unless it would kill them. In terms of the blue perks, we have destroyed drones explode after 3 seconds, slowing and damaging enemies caught in the blast. Your drone reveals an enemy's health and armor after 3 seconds of scanning and becomes semi-transparent when controlling drones. I don't like the idea of this one because if you're using your drone, you should probably be tucked in a corner anyway. You're not going to just be out in the open, and your teammates should be aware of the fact that you're using the drone, so they should be protecting you and notify you if there are enemies nearby. So I don't think that this is necessary at all. For tier 2, I like this one. It's decent, for information, but I don't think it's the best. I honestly just think that this tier 1 blue perk is the best, the self-destruct. Whenever I'm going up against a crypto, I'm always nervous to shoot the drone when it's right next to me because I don't know if it's going to explode. I don't like it when it deals damage or slows me. I need to be able to move quickly. And honestly, most of the time when I shoot crypto's drones, it doesn't explode and deal damage to me. And I'm always like, whew, that was lucky. And I imagine that that's because they have these other blue perks that they're using. I think that this one's definitely the best, especially when you're in a close quarters fight and that drone is flying around in case they want to shoot it. Next is Rhapsody. Rhapsody is a super sweet legend. Obviously, we have purple for 100 points to your Evo shield. The blue perks, squad mates affected by your tactical temporarily gain gifted ear. Continuous running increases the range of gifted ear, and occasionally see nearby 3D sound visuals. Occasionally see nearby 3D sound visualizations effects through walls. I don't think this first tier 1 blue perk is very good. The second one is my favorite. The third one, okay, lots of people really like this one because instead of just seeing footsteps, you can often see how high or how low your opponent is if they're in a building or something. However, if you have good headphones on and if you're listening closely, you can typically tell what kind of terrain people are walking on and if they're above or below you. I don't think this is very helpful because you should already kind of be able to figure out where your opponent is based on 1, the footsteps, and 2, your own hearing. And so some people like this one. I don't think it's totally necessary. The second tier is my favorite one because sometimes what happens is you'll be running through maybe a tunnel or a tight space, and when I'm the Rhapsody, I will get these purple steps that someone's approaching. And so you'll be able to know that opponents are coming before they know that you're coming. And so you can notify your team, and then as they walk through, you shoot them and catch them completely off guard. And that's happened with me a number of times. And so I think that this perk is the most useful one. We have for the red, when casting the ultimate, squad mates near Rowdy will gain faster ammo reload speed for a certain amount of time. I don't really like this one. Next, while in the sound wave state of the tactical skill, the effect of using healing items is increased and revive speed is accelerated. And then third, the higher the number of squad mates affected by the tactical skill, the longer the tactical skill lasts. It's between these two for me. And I think that what you're going to choose will depend on your playstyle. When I'm Rhapsody, I kind of like to be a little bit less aggressive because Rhapsody's tactical will last for 10 seconds or until you take damage. And sometimes what I like to do is stay behind a tiny bit while my teammates push up so that I can activate my tactical and they'll speed up and keep their healing, and then I can kind of peek out from time to time and shoot my enemies as well. And I want to stay a little bit protected myself because once I take damage, then my tactical stops working. That's a certain playstyle that works well with this perk because it's 2 seconds per squad mate. And so instead of lasting for 10, it can last up to 14 seconds. It'll give you, instead of an extra 2 shield bars of health, it'll give you almost a full third, and then the speed lasts for longer as well. This one I think is better if you're playing a little bit more aggressively with Rhapsody, because then you can duck away quickly, heal up, and use it to go save your teammates. So this is kind of like more aggressive play, and then you use the ability defensively. This one is kind of like less aggressive play, and then you use this to help out your teammates when they're being aggressive. Hopefully that makes sense. Lastly, we're going to talk about Mirage. We have this one for the purple, the Evo Shield one. For the red ones, we have your ultimate creates decoys of one of your squad mates. Decoys ping enemies within a certain distance but cannot be controlled, and then losing a decoy turns you invisible for 2 seconds or until you shoot. This one is interesting. It's a decent tier 1 perk. This I don't think is good. I think you definitely want to be able to control your decoys, because if you're the only one that's moving like a normal person, you're not going to be fooling anybody. I really like this one. I think it's a little bit overpowered. If you can use your decoys well when you party or when you do a psych out, this can be super powerful. I think it's definitely the best. For the blue, we have when a decoy is shot, it drops a hollow spray. This one, being revived, cloaks both you and your squad mate. And then the third, automatically deploy a decoy when your health falls below 50%. This one's silly. I think it's a good tier 1. It's just kind of a funny perk. I think that this is really helpful because, as you probably know, Mirage cloaks when he revives somebody else. And then this one, when he's being revived, it also cloaks the person who's reviving you. I think this can be very helpful. However, there's been a problem the past couple months where sometimes the Mirage cloaking doesn't work. Either way, when the Mirage is doing it or when he's being revived. I don't know what's up with that. It's a terrible bug. It kind of negates one of the strongest parts of Mirage's abilities. And then this third one, automatically deploy a decoy when your health falls below 50%. It's good, it's decent. However, if your health falls below 50%, that probably means that you just got shot a lot of times. If you're being tracked like that and you keep taking damage, chances are your opponent is smart enough to know where you're going and not follow the decoy that just all of a sudden got created. So this one and this one are my picks for the Mirage abilities. That's all I've got for you today. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe so I can buy more Technoblade merch. Have a great day.